You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen. But do you recall?
What's up, guys? This is your friendly neighborhood extreme Spidey guy here, and today I'm going to be doing another TV special review, part of holiday month, and this one is going to be on 1969's Frosty the Snowman. And just ignore what I had on my finger. That was just a paper cut. Written and directed by Romero Miller and Arthur Rankin Jr. and Julie Bass. Which is the first television special featuring the character Frosty the Snowman, which at first aired on December 7th, 1969 on the CBS television network in the US, airing immediately after the fifth showing of A Charlie Brown Christmas. Both scored high ratings. The special has aired annually for the network's Christmas and holiday season for every year since. The special was based on the Walter E. Rollins and Steve Nelson song of the same name. It features the same voices of the comedians Jimmy Durante in his final film role and the film's narrator Billy D. Wolfe as Professor Hinkle, and Jackie Vernon as Frosty. So, how is this made? Well, Arthur Rankin Jr. and Julius Bass wanted to give the show and its characters the look of a Christmas card. So Paul Crooker Jr., a greeting card and Mad Magazine artist, was hired to do the character and background drawings. The animation was produced by Mushi Production in Tokyo, Japan, with Yusaku Steve Nakagawa, then Mushi staffer Osamu Dezaki, who is uncredited among the animation staff. Durante was one of the first people to record the song when it was released in 1950, although at the time the song had slightly different lyrics. He re-recorded the song for the special. Breaking Bass veteran writer Romero Miller adapted and expanded the story for its television, as he had done with the Animagic stop-motion production of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. TV Guide ranked the TV special a 9 out of 10 on its top 10 best holiday specials list. So, what's the story of the special? Well, a discarded magic top hat brings Frosty the Snowman that a group of children made, until a magician, Professor Hinkle, wants to bring it back, and the temperature starts to rise. Frosty will melt or no longer be a jolly soul if the kids cannot get him away from Hinkle and the warm weather, so he hops a train to the North Pole with young Karen. So, what are my thoughts on this movie? I meant special. This would have to be one of the best Christmas specials I have ever seen, and probably my third favorite Rankin Bass special behind Here Comes Santa Claus and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. The hand-drawn animation is definitely phenomenal. The voice acting from Jackie Vernon and Suzanne Davidson as Frosty and Karen is definitely phenomenal, and they both really have great chemistry with each other. And I definitely love Frosty's iconic line, "Happy Birthday!" And there's also some other great voice acting from like Billy D. Wolfe, Paul Frees, and June Foray. And Jimmy Durante definitely does an awesome job narrating in this. And Jimmy Durante's narration is definitely phenomenal in this special. And Billy D. Wolfe definitely nails the voice performance of Professor Hinkle. And there's also some other great voice acting as well from like June Foray, who voices the kids, and rest in peace to her. The music is definitely phenomenal in the special. Um, uh, the special was definitely the best way to like and Jimmy was actually I think the best way to end Jimmy Durante's career, and Professor Hinkle was definitely a hilarious antagonist in this special. And I definitely love the iconic song Frosty the Snowman. And the ending scene was definitely phenomenal as well. So it starts off in a schoolhouse on Christmas Eve. An inept magician, Professor Hinkle, unsuccessfully performs his tricks during a Christmas party. Disgraced and ridiculed by the children, Professor Hinkle throws his top hat away upon being dismissed. The children go outside to play in the snow and build a snowman they name Frosty. Professor Hinkle chases his rabbit Hocus Pocus, who has who has absconded with his hat. The hat is blown off by the wind and is caught by Karen, a student who puts it on Frosty's head and brings him to life. Hinkle realizes that the hat is actually magic and sees that this has a chance to become wealthy. Hinkle reclaims the hat when it gets blown off and ignores their protests that it threw away. He also dismisses the children's claim that Frosty came to life. Later, Hocus switches the hat with a Christmas wreath and brings it back to the children. They use the hat to revive Frosty again, and then the snowman is immediately delighted by his newfound life. However, the temperature begins to rise after Frosty fears he will melt unless he can go to the North Pole. The children suggest putting him on a train to get there, and and they parade through the town on the way to the train station, shocking several townspeople, including the traffic cop, because they have no money for tickets. Hocus, Frosty, and Karen secretly board a northbound freight train refrigerator car filled with ice cream and Christmas cakes while Professor Hinkle follows them to reclaim the hat. As the train continues northward, Karen starts to freeze, and Frosty realizes she cannot withstand the extremely cold temperatures. When the train stops to let a passenger train pass, the group disembarks in search of somewhere to warm Karen, with Hinkle following in pursuit. By nightfall, Frosty and Hocus struggle to bring an uncautious Karen through the forest. Hocus asks the forest animals to build a campfire for Karen, which they succeed in doing. Fearing that the fire will not be good enough, Frosty decides to look for Santa Claus, whom they assume can save Karen and bring him to the North Pole. While Hocus searches for Santa, Professor Hinkle arrives and puts out Karen's fire. Karen and Frosty flee and arrive at a greenhouse, which Frosty brings Karen inside to warm up. Hinkle arrives and shuts the door, locking them inside. When Hocus and Santa arrive at the greenhouse, Frosty has melted into a puddle. Santa confronts a heartbroken Karen, explaining that Frosty is made of magical Christmas snow and will return every winter. He then opens the door and the winter wind blows magic snow to remake Frosty into a snowman. As they are about to put the hat on his head, Hinkle arrives demanding his hat back. Santa intervenes and threatens to never bring him another Christmas present unless if he gives up the hat and writes, "I am sorry," 1,000 zillion times. A contrite Hinkle leaves to write his apologies. They find the hat on Frosty, reviving him, and Santa drops Karen off at her house. Then he then takes Frosty to the North Pole, promising that he will return every year with the magical Christmas snow. As the credits roll, Frosty leads the parade. Hocus, the narrator, who is voiced by Jimmy Durante in his final role, and this is probably the best way to end Jimmy Durante's career before his death. The traffic cop and the rest of the town, including Professor Hinkle, sporting a new hat. As the parade ends, Frosty boards Santa's sleigh, and they fly off to the North Pole, with Frosty altering the song's last line, and excuse me, saying, "I'll be back on Christmas Day." And excuse me if I burped though. Now, are there any bad qualities I have with this special? Absolutely not, and here's how I'm gonna rate it. I am going to give Frosty the Snowman a full solid 10 out of 10. So tell me your thoughts on Frosty the Snowman. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's okay? Do you think it's overrated? Just let me know in the comments below. And until next time, I'll see you all later.